everyone, welcome to my channel. I found this little tray at, I believe, Goodwill. Paid only $2 for it. It looked like someone had already started working on it. Got one coat of white on the front. Let's see what we can do. Give it a good clean. And then I'll be using Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white. All right, I have given the back 3 good coats and let it dry. Now I'm going to take a wet wipe and a little sanding sponge and distress. All right, I gave the tray 3 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white, distressed with a sanding sponge and a wet wipe. Now I take it outside and I'm going to give it 2 coats of Mod Podge in matte to seal it. Now we're going to work on the front of the tray, and like I said, I bought it. It already had a coat of paint. I'm not sure what they used, but I'm going to give it maybe 2 coats. We'll see how good it covers of the Rust-Oleum in linen white. All right, all it needed was 2 coats and giving it a dry. And now I'm going to take my sanding sponge and wet wipe and distress the front. Okay, I'm going to be using IOD's paint inlay from the Portofino book. I decided on this pretty little inlay. I think it's so French. Gorgeous. I'm going for a real rustic French look. I'm going to use the Kindest Regards stamp in the background. I just figured it needed a little more than just the transfer. I'm using Stone Gray ink. Okay, here I'm going to take the stamp off the backing, and it was so hard to get off. I was afraid I was going to rip the stamp, but it didn't. It come off finally. It was stuck on there. As I'm looking at the stamp from the front, I'm figuring it's going to be a mess if I try to ink it and go that direction. So what I decided to do was turn the tray over and take some painter's tape and mark the back of the tray like that, the boundaries. That way when I ink, if I stay within the blue painter's tape lines, I know the ink is not going to go up on the side. And if it does a little bit, I can just clean it off with a wet wipe. Okay, now at this point, I'm just taking a wet wipe and dabbing and wiping to lighten the ink up even more. I want to give it a real distressed look. Okay, I'm going to use polyacrylic clear coat because I can't paint, if I used paint, it would cover up my stamp. So I'm going to use a coat of this, let it dry, and then I'll add a wet coat to put the paint inlay down on. Okay, the first coat is dry. Now I'm adding the second coat. That is the coat that we will put the paint inlay down while it is still wet. Okay, now that I've got the second coat and it's still wet, I'm going to take my paint inlay and mist it with water. On the paint side, you want it to be wet, and that will help it go down and stick. Then I take a wet wipe and I just kind of smooth it down. Make sure all of it is adhered pretty good. And then we're going to let this dry. You can dry it with a heat gun, or you can just leave it and let it dry on its own. You can tell when the paint is dry because the paper becomes opaque. As you can see, now what I'll do is I'll mist with water again and let it sit for about 30 seconds or so and just start peeling it up. Okay, the paper peeled back and the paint inlay turned out beautiful. Now I'm going to take Pentart, the Classic Crackle Varnish, component number 1, and I'm going to give it a coat. Okay, once component number 1 is dry, I'm coming in with component number 2, and I'm going to give it a good coat all over. This is what will give it its crackle. And if you see over to the side there, my paint inlay, I have it laying there drying, because you can get more than one use out of these, so don't throw it away. Put it to the side and let it dry. All right, now that it is dry, I'm going to take Paint Couture Antique and Glaze in the color Light Brown Sugar. And I'm going to go all over the tray, the front and the back. And you can wipe it back, and you can make it as dark as you want or as light as you want. Okay, now that it's dry, I'm going to take Rub and Buff in the color Gold Leaf, and I want the handles to be gold, and then I will also add it to the raised ornate areas on the tray to highlight. Okay, now I decided I wanted to add some gold words around the edge. So I'm taking the IOD's Gilded Etiquettes book, and I'm just going through it and just picking out some words that would be good enough to put around the edge. That's all I want. And then once I got that figured out, I got them cut, and now I just take the little transfer tool and apply. The words are real small and delicate, so I just kind of take the corner and try to get them down that way. It turned out real pretty. I haven't used these very much. I absolutely love them. I've got to think of more projects that I can use these on because they are absolutely gorgeous. This was such a fun project, and I appreciate everyone watching. Please like and subscribe and help my channel grow. I really appreciate everything. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments.